So let's start. Now, today we want to talk about Power BI, DAX and Power BI. And this morning, we'll, we'll try to do some basic formulas on DAX. Yesterday, we were able to do some basic introductions of Power BI. BI means business intelligence, using our sales, marketing department, our analytics, you know. So this morning, as I said yesterday, when you open your Power BI, something like this will pop up. And if you have a saved document before, you can open it and continue. If you want to start a new one, remember I talked about data sources like blank reports, only catalog. That's another thing entirely. It's also how to connect data, Excel workbook, SQL, all the stuff. But this morning I just want to do some DAX and let's see how it goes. So this morning since I want to get my source file from Excel. It's from Excel. I'm going to use Excel workbook, and it's obviously under downloads. If I'm not mistaken, yes, Power BI DAX. That's what we worked on yesterday. Boom. So you have to wait to connect, to and one thing about Power BI, it tries to extract tables, extract data to know if they are befitting. So these are the informations gathered so far. We have table, you have and whenever you check for any table, at the right hand side you see the preview, um, cover page. I don't think you need the cover page, so I will just uncheck that and data. Right, these are the tables we needed. Then we load. So I haven't done that. I haven't done that. The next thing, if you check the right hand side there, we have something called data. Although it's still working on it, you know, still trying to evaluate and extract them so that we can work on them. When it is done, automatically you will see it at the right hand side there so that it starts working proper. So you have to wait depending on the capacity of the system. Sometimes it will be faster, sometimes very slow. So it depends. So if your system has a good RAM or hard disk, so you experience it more better. But let's wait. And while waiting, I explained something about DAX yesterday, that is it means data analytics expressions. It's just as if okay, they said we have like 3,705 rows loaded. So our is almost, yeah, is here right now. Then DAX is like a formula, using formulas in Power BI. You know, most people think of Power BI like it's solely meant for visualization. Fine, we use it for basic advanced visualizations compared to Excel, but there are some things you can add. For example, you want to add columns, you want to add like new measures to what you are doing. DAX is very useful. So this morning we are going to do some basic calculations like the way did in Excel. So if you look at the right hand side there, these are the two tables I uploaded from that file. You have the data table file show. Check on the button, drop that button. So these are all um column. So by the time you say something like this summation sign, it means that that column, it contains numbers, values like 1, 2, 3, 400. Might be salary, it might be unit sold, so or even retail ID. Definitely you can't say something like an alphabet or letters there. So it requires that maybe you want to sum them, do you understand? So under region, we are not expecting such like that. So that is that about that. Then the same table, second thing, it's still the same thing. So now If you want to start something, let's assume we want to create the total revenue. Before we go there, before we move on to that, this remember this report view and we have the table view. That is what we previewed the other time. You can see it here, right? The table view. Let me delete. I don't want this column. Yeah. Okay. So this is the table view that that we uploaded, and we have the model view. The model view helps us to connect relationships from one table to another table, and that's in general. You understand? So let's go back to our report view. This report view basically it's a place where we create our reports or dashboards respectively the way you want to do it, your designs and everything, your metrics. And the first thing I said is I'm going to say is to create um um I think we should create total revenue. Do you understand? We don't have total revenue here on our data in our table. So let's say we want to create the total revenue. This is the revenue here, right? I should click on it now. It's going to at least show me something like this. Buy 5 million, sum of revenue 5 million. So we want to create, I want to know the total, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on new measure. Remember you are calculating just like formula. So when I click on new measures, automatically a formula bar will pop up like Excel and announce and give us the go ahead to write whatever I want to write. Remember that in Excel we have cells that we can write and active cells that we want to write on. You understand? But in Power BI you can only permitted to write on the formula bar. So let's say the first thing is to tell the Power BI what you want to derive. Say total revenue equals. Then the next one is the formula, which is obviously sum. Then we have so many types of sum. We have sum here, sum summarize columns, and sum x. The most used one is sum and sum x. Sum x is just like some product in Excel where you know you multiply by rows you get. Like let me say you have units sold and price, and you multiply units and sold for the first row, add it to the multiplication, the product of the second rows, add it to the multiplication of the third rows, then you derive your total answer. But this time around on Excel, we just want to do sum for now. Then you press enter. So if you look at the up version here, we see something called column name. It's asking that what column name do you want to add? So I'm going to choose revenue. I want to add revenue. So revenue is either on data table or table one revenue. Like here, you see we have table data and table one. So which revenue do you want to add? Let's go for the data one. I'll just, since I'm already having that data revenue as number one, enter. Then if you want to get your result, it's either you press enter here or you click on this commit, this marked green marked sign. So I'll go for enter all this. So let's say it's working on it, right? Now, if you check back here, automatically we've um derive our total revenue at the right hand side there is part of our columns right now, total revenue, but it's not showing anything here right now. So what to do is for us to show, we can add something called matrix. Matrix, like it tells us to get all the valid informations we are trying to generate. So when you have matrix, something like this, you can drag and see. You see, it's telling us that the total revenue is 8,166,072. Then we can try to say, okay, under this, if you want to know how each region, for example, let me not start with region, let me start with retailer ID or retailer. I can check for retailer here. So automatically, let me bring this down so that you can see very well. So we can see different kind of retailer, you understand, and their revenue supply. So all I did was to just revenue and what how they were distributed. Do you understand? So that is number one thing. Don't forget we are still on the DAX. Let's assume that also with this we can calculate maximum value. You understand? If you want to do that again, you come to your this new measure. Oops, I don't want this. Okay, new measure. So before I continue, let me delete these new measures. Delete from model. Cut off by itself. Yes. Okay. Okay. Continue to new measure, and this time around we want to talk about max, right? Maximum revenue. If you want to generate the maximum revenue, you will just write it maximum revenue equals, then the formula is also max. I think is the next day. Trying to malfunction. Max. Okay. Enter. Then the maximum revenue we want for the data tab, right? Click on enter, then okay. So now we can just drag it to this side again. Maximum revenue. You see, so the maximum revenue generated from the year is 8,250. So we can also do that like that for minimum and average. So the next one is, let's assume we want to obtain unique brands. Like how many unique brands do we sell? You know, if you check our table here, we have so many brands. If I should filter it, it will tell me the brands we have: Coca-Cola, Dasani, Diet, all those stuff, right? So if you want to know how many, if you want to calculate them, so that's what you want to do now. Again, new measures, we're going to rename it as unique brand, right? Then this time around, the formula we're going to use is because you want to derive um unique brands of our products. Like you want to know the brands that we have. So we're going to use the formula called distinct counts. Distinct is like unique in Excel, right? But this time around, we're adding count to it. I've explained count in Excel very well. That just as if we are counting products, one, two, three, all those stuff. But this time, I want to know you want to know um the unique product of each of each of these um sales, you understand, of these beverage brands. So I'm going to say distinct. So we have it distinct count. We have further distinct, but I'm going for distinct count. If it's just distinct, distinct will just tell you the names, you understand? But I want it to just count it for me. So I'll just say distinct count, enter. Then I want you to count beverage brands. This under data tab, right? Then enter again. So automatically it's going to generate how many unique brands we have. So I can also drag it to my matrix, drag it to my matrix. Now, let me see. Can I say that? So it said six. They will have unique brands. So we can check back again in our table, maybe it's correct. Hmm. So we have Coca-Cola, Disney Water, Diet Coke 3, Fanta 4, Powerade 5, and Sprite 6. So you see, these are how simple and how easy it works to get it done. Do you understand? And remember, if I should click on these unique brands, it will just pop up my formula again. Now, let's assume that you want to people doesn't know what the unique brand entails, the meaning. Don't tell them that okay, this is what it entails. In SQL, you make use of hyphen, like something like okay, before you go down, I say is that's just like writing formulas. So just see it as if you are writing queries also. So formulas that have series of rows. Do you understand? So if you want to do that here, instead of you can't make use of enter. If you click on enter, it's as enter means you are executing the plan. You're executing the formula that okay, I write this formula, execute it for me. But if you want to go to the next row, you won't just press enter, you make use of shift enter. So let's see how it goes. Shift enter. You see, it labels as number two. It's trying to say that okay, I want to write another new command. But this time around, I just want to write these are the unique brands we sell. So for you to just these words is just like normal words. Like I just want to say that what I've written on the first row are just the unique brands we sell in this company. So I can't just write it like that because remember anything you are writing here, it has meaning. The first one says unique brand. That means the name of my column, what I want, the name of my formula equals, then I write the formula and the criteria needed. But this time I just want to say the meaning of what I've said upward. I can't give more definition. So this time around, you use the backward slash twice. You see that backward slash slash, then you write whatever you want to write. When you input this, it means that all what I've said, the previous row, there's a meaning to it. So, or you are just writing your words, writing your notes. You understand? Like you're writing just notes, like you want to for better explanation in the nearest future. Do you understand? So, let me just say these are the unique brands we sell, right? So, enter. So, automatically it already registered that there. So that is that about that. Now the next one we want to do now is what we call total profit. Total profit. Like we want to generate the total profit in in our file. But before we generate total profit, you must know the formula to use. Now, if you want to get a profit in a sales, right? You know your revenue, right? You know your expenses. If you have those points on ground, or those values on ground, it's very easy to know what your profits, like what you had, the total general of what you generated and what you spend outside. So you just minus them and you get what you want. Now we'll write it down. So again, we are going to go back to our new measures. So new measures means that we are writing a new formula And this time around, I'm going to say profit because then is the formula is total revenue minus what? Total expenses. Total revenue minus total expenses. So we can either make use of the total revenue we've created earlier on, hmm, or we just say sum, enter, um, check for the revenue, data revenue, and just type revenue, enter. That is the sum of total revenue here, right? Then we close the parentheses, I mean the brackets, minus another sum again. Now this we've done for the revenue. Now we are going to do for the expenses also. Enter. Then we'll search for expenses. And don't make the mistake. The first one was data revenue. That is the table called data, the revenue inside. So it's advisable to use the expenses under that table. Don't come under table one. If you are using that, definitely you are going to use other function. Do you understand that? Expenses. So yeah. Then having done that, we close the bracket again, right? Then let's click on enter. Okay. Now the form is already a profit, so we can drag it again. Or before that, even though I want to use it as let me just click on it. Let me use it as retailer or retailer ID. Retailer ID. I think retailer will be more or no, or let me use that our beverage brands. Yes, beverage brands. So we know that then back here again, I can just drag again, or this time around I want to make use of cards. Let me make use of cards. I'll explain cards. So then let me add total revenue, right? We created total revenue right now. See, this is total revenue. So minimize that. So this should be down here. So that is that about that. Then this one I created here is just it comprises of I'm going to remove the retailer ID. So it comprises just the beverage brand and profits, right? So automatically when you are doing this, you are already trying to build a dashboard. Do you understand? You're already building a dashboard already, but remember that all these we've created, they are just formulas. Do you understand? Of these are formulas for metrics, formulas for the cards and beverages. So that is that about that. Then I will explained total revenue. I've explained the how to obtain unit brands. Now I've also explained the total profit. Then the next one is profit margin. Profit margin. So the formula for profit margin is you divide profit by total revenue. You understand? You divide profit by total revenue. That is profit divided by total revenue. So most times, as I said, this is just like a business um space. That's why I call it Power BI, Power Intelligence. So it's advisable that you know some of little arithmetic, mathematics, or sometimes even statistics, formulas. So it will really help you in a long run. Do you understand? To do so many things. And let me move on to profit margin. As usual, again, we are going to click on new measures and you start with the name, call it profit margin. I want it to be in percentage, so I can add this because okay. So start by divide. We have the formula called divide, right? Enter. So I want to divide profit. Remember, I've generated profit. So the meaning is that you can't get profit margin without deriving the profit first. So I was able to generate the profit earlier on. So I'll now say profit, enter, comma. Now, if you look at the top here, I'm through with the numerator. You say, what is the numerator? I said profit. The next one is denominator, right? So it's just like your Excel to whenever you want to write your formula, it will ask you, what do you want to do next? What do you want to do next? Maybe it's a table array, is a denominator like this, or is just array. Do you understand? Something like that, just to guide you. So the next one is denominator, and I'll say that profit margin is profit divided by what? Total revenue. So I'll just click right on total revenue, which is there, enter, right? Then it is important because you started this, you have to close with it a bracket, like then enter. You said I press your enter or make use of this um logo there. So that is it, profit per margin. So I can just drag it again to my matrix, or let me say I want to create another card for it. Let me create another card for it again to make it more visible. Mm. So I can just say something like this. But I want it to be in what is it called? I want it to be in percentage. So all you have to do is click on it again. Then just like your Excel, you have this formats of tab there. Then click on this. I want it to be in percentage. So automatically it's and you can even reduce the decimal point again, right? And reduce the decimal to make it like more or less like whole number. So you can, change it to, if the one decimal point to be 78.5. I want you to make it in zero. So automatically it's going to 79%. So it's called these are how we maneuver ourselves in um profits in DAX. There's Power BI. So the next thing to do will be, so far we are able to drive so many things, excuse me. Now let's assume we want to, all these are just to get answers. Let's assume I want to explain something now. Under this table bar, you remember in Excel, sometimes you want to create a new column. I did a column earlier on, right? And let's say you want to add another column to this. Do you understand? And this column right now, maybe you want to merge. Just remember I said we have something like Power Query in data in Power BI. Let's say you want to merge this region and state. Do you understand? You want to merge region and state together. So this time around, you it's not advisable to make use of no measure. It won't even go because you are merging. You want to create a new column. So what you have to do is you go back to these table tools, a tab on, right? Then click on new column. When you click on new column, automatically a column will pop up. In Excel, we have to do what? We just use of the basic right click insert, right? Now this is different. Now I want to rename it as region and state. I want to have region and state, region and so let's say region and state because sign. Now, if you want to do for regions and state, you are going to just add them together, right? So we can just say region first, enter. Then you make use of this apparent sign called, like you want to, like a logo for and. I see it on my screen here. Then double quotation, space, double quotation, then the apparent sign again, right? Then for the state now, state, right? So enter. See how it goes. You see? So it was just like you are joining. So if I didn't put space between these two, the only difference that can be confusing, don't make it, is just using of, and just like you are saying, I'm adding region and state. Do you understand? So region is this first, statement. Data region. This data means your table. You can find in the table called data, right? And um the region is a column. Then and is just for us to combine, combine those two tables together. But the reason why we are making use of this apparent sign is because we want to have space. Is one of the things that you can help us to do, or to add them together too. But if you didn't put space between them, you see that, okay, let me just remove the space and see how it's going to look like. I'm going to let the space. Let's see how it's going to look at now. So enter again. I want us to look at this before I click on enter. This column, you see there's going to be a little change. Let's see, it's working on it. Yeah, you see, there's no more space between Northeast and New York, right? Because yeah, I didn't put the space between the two double quotation. So space and we run. So that is how to add columns in our in our um in our Power BI. Now let's assume that we want to make use of the if statement like in Excel. Like, for example, this unit sold, you want to classify them like, okay, if they are less than 5,000, let's call it small. If they are greater than 5,000, let's call it what, large, right? Something like that is can also be do what can also be make use of in Excel. So we go back to our table tools, right? Then click on new column, and we we can rename it as category. Remember, what we want to do is we just want to um, categorize or classify this column, this unit sold. I want to classify that if they are less than 5,000, let's call it small, and with are greater than 5,000, let's call it what, large. Now, after writing that, we are going to make use of the if, enter. Now, see what bring exactly like Excel. If you are using the Excel software and you typed if, this is what always bring up logical test. That is, what do you want to test? What is are the conditions you want to bring out? Now, my logical test is I want my unit sold this, right? I want my unit sold should, if it is less than 5,000, right? Now, immediately I use my comma to bring me to the next one here, which is result if it is true. I'll say out my unit sold if it is true. If it's less than 5,000, that is the meaning. Call it, make use of your double quotation, call it small, right? Close it again with double quotation, comma. Then, if it's false, that is anything greater than 5,000 or equals to 5,000, that's just the meaning. It should be called what? Large. So let me say large, large. Then I'm going to close the parentheses. So after that, enter. So as you can see, something of that has been generated. You can see small, large, small, large. But we can also make use of IFS. I call it ifs, if statements. Do you understand? But this if can also do that for us. Like you want to generate more conditions, right? Let's say you will feel like, okay, this doesn't still make sense. You still want something, or you want to give it more condition. And the condition is, okay, the first one is if it's less than 5,000, let's call it small. But let's say, what if it is less than 10,000? Let's call it medium. And anything above 10,000, you should call it what? Large. Do you understand that? For those that have attended the formula session, will understand this in the under Excel. So you don't have to erase all the formula, right? All you have to do is just come down here, then if again, right? If the unit sold, which is this, if the data unit sold, right? Now we say if it is what less than 10,000, 1, 2, 3, comma. I want you to call it mid call it medium, medium, right? Then comma. Then I have to, since I've tried to, this bracket is here, so I have to add another additional close bracket here again. Before I execute this formula, I want us to see it again. The first one is if the unit sold is less than 5,000, call it small, right? So I added another one again to if it is less than 10,000, call it medium. So that means that if it is between 5,000 and 10,000, those values are called medium. The anything 10,000 upward is called what? Large. Should be called large. So let's execute again. So I'm expecting small, medium, and large in my column right now. So as you can see, we have large, medium, and if you can scroll down here, we have small here. So these are that is how to do that in Excel. Now, I hope you understand that. So if you want to generate more columns like this, you can continue. Just make sure that you start with what new column, and boom, you are good to go. Okay, before we round it up, I have one or two more to talk about. Is called calculate functions. And calculate functions works with filter, right? Maybe you want to add something, but not all. Let me explain that. So I'm going to use the new measure, not new column this time around, like the one we started with, new measure. Let's assume I want to calculate for revenue from Sprite, just Sprite alone. Revenue for Sprite, this beverage is here. I want to calculate revenue for Sprite, right? Sprite, this Sprite. So what do you want to do? Go back to our report view, new measure, right? So I will say Sprite revenue. Remember that the one we did earlier on was total revenue, but this time I just for Sprite revenue alone. Sprite revenue equals. So this time around, I said it that calculate. You have something we call calculate in Excel, in Power BI. Pardon. It will help us to calculate, to filter what we want. So I want us to look at the command very well. Say calculate. Now the first thing you said is called expression. It's telling me that what do you want to calculate? Do you understand? And what you want to calculate is what? is our revenue, right? Data revenue or total revenue. Total revenue. This is our total revenue, right? Enter. Now, but it's not just ordinary total revenue. Next thing is, if I should say comma, the next thing is my filter one. What do I want to filter? My filter one should be Sprite. I want to filter for just Sprite alone. That is, under this total revenue, calculate the revenue that are meant for Sprite alone. So, but Sprite is under which column? Is under beverage brand. So I'll have to reference that first. So I'll write beverage, then boom, is here, later beverages, enter. But I'm not still true. I didn't say you should calculate. If I should just execute it here, it's like I'm saying calculating for total revenue. That's just the meaning. Because I'm not giving the exact formula and the Power BI the right function or the right conditions to follow. So what I'm going to do is I'll write, I'll type equal sign, right? Then Sprite, write Sprite. When you type Sprite, that is, I want you to say that, okay, under total revenue, calculate the revenue for Sprite only. Then this, I'll close it. So let's see if we are going to get our Sprite revenue. Now, yeah, the Sprite revenue is here right now. And I'm going to create cards for Sprite revenue again. Okay, something here. So let me drag. So Sprite revenue is just 1 point. When the total revenue is 8 million plus, so Sprite was able to accommodate just to able to give out 1.15 million, right? So that is how to that. If you want to see the formula again, yeah, this is the formula. Just click on this, then the formula will pop up. Now let's assume that we want to do this for just two um products or two brands. Let's say we have if I check here now, we have under a table view, we have Coca-Cola, we have Diet Coke, we have Fanta, we have Desane water and the rest. Let's assume we want to do for two, something like that. So let me just edit this, right? I'm just going to edit this now. Now, if you want to work on Sprite, let's say Sprite and Fanta, I'll call this, okay. I'm going to, okay, instead of editing this, let me make it as a new measure so that to be much easier. So I'm going to say Sprite. I want to generate Sprite and Fanta because, right, then calculate. My first expression is what I want to calculate on is total revenue, right? Total revenue. Then now remember the first one we did on Sprite alone, we didn't, after immediately we say filter, we just try to do what? To get the brand, the column name. Then we now want we filter it to just one brand, which is Sprite. But this time around, because we want to do for two brands, we have to make use of another function called or, you understand? So able to join them together. So I'll use or. This or here, enter. So this all means that you want to add two conditions. You can see there it says logical one and logical two. Do you understand? Now the first one is for Sprite. So let's do that. But before we do for Sprite, we have to reference what the column first, which is beverages, right? Enter. Then I will say equals Sprite equals Sprite. That is for logical one. equals Sprite. That is, add for Sprite, comma. This comma means add for the second the second logical option that you are going for. And the second one is what is Fanta. So I also have to reference beverages, the column again, beverage, yes, then equals uh Fanta. That's a Fanta, right? Then close it. So having done that, we use what? Enter to see for Sprite and Fanta. So let me create this for Sprite alone. Let me click on this first and reduce it. Yeah, these are profit margin, these are total revenue. Let me reduce this. So let me create another card on, you know. Okay. So I'll just drag and drop it. So if Fant Sprite revenue is 1.115 million, so Sprite and Fanta is said to be 2.12 million. So these are the few DAX and formulas we're able to do today, right? Sum of revenue by retailer, profit, sum of revenue by Sprite, rather, revenue by Sprite and Fanta, profit margin, total revenue, total profit, get our unique brands and the rest. And I think we are done with that. So I think this is helpful for us. Remember, that is just for formula case. And from this, we can just try to rearrange them, add some filter, and boom, we create our dashboard. So that will be all for now. Um, if there's any question, you can drop it in the comment section, and we'll reply to it ASAP. So thanks.